Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. We are from Group 17 and today we will present our case study titled The Fake Halal Meat Scandal. I'm Nurul Safia and I will start the presentation. This is our table of contents that we will be discussing in this presentation. Let's move on to the first content, that is introduction of this case. The fake halal meat scandal has been revealed in December 2020 that had been operating for almost 40 years. So, who revealed this case? A media investigation found that this non-halal meat was brought in from different countries and sold using fake halal logos. Some of the meat came from animals like horses, kangaroos, and pork, which are not halal for Muslim. The activity continued for many years because of bribery involving certain senior officers. In the end, enforcement agency discovered the cartel and arrested the people involved, including officers who accepted the bribes. The next part is background of the cases. As we all know, halal certification makes sure that food allows Islamic dietary rules that contains cleanliness and quality standards. As Malaysia is also known as a global halal hub, so people trust its halal system. If halal rules are broken because of the fraud or corruption, it can cause loss of public trust, religious concerns, and even health risks. Besides, it can also damage Malaysia's image in the world. Therefore, transparency, responsibility, and strict enforcement are very important to protect consumers and keep the halal industry trustworthy. Next, we will see the chronology of these events. First, when it was discovered in 2020, a Malaysian newspaper found an illegal activity involving the import of non-halal meat using the fake documents. Some authorities at the ports were also suspected of corruption, which that allowed the smuggling to continue. So this news led to further police investigation. After that, moving to 2 December 2020, several enforcement agencies carried out a joint raid at a warehouse in Senai, Johor. They seized about 1,500 tons of frozen meat worth Rm 30 million. The cartel was pretending to be a legal supplier and using fake halal logos to sell a non-halal meat. Next, at the 21 December and 2020, 4 people were arrested, including the company directors, workers that linked to the cartel. Investigation also showed that the officials from several government agencies were involved in the bribery, which allowed the illegal business to run for almost 40 years. And next, on 13 December 2020, 2 company directors were charged in the court for using the fake halal logos without approval. They could face a fine up to Rm 200,000, but both pleaded not guilty and were released on bail. In early January 2021, 4 suspects were kept in custody while waiting for the next court hearing. After that, there were no clear public updates about the final result of this case. Overall, this scandal involved the illegal import and repackaging of non-halal meat with fake halal logos. It was protected by corruption and had been running for many years, leading to raids, arrests, and court cases, and raising serious concerns about halal integrity in Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nufan Alia. So I will talk about how the case was discovered. The first one is exposed through investigative journalism by local media. The fake halal meat scandal in Malaysia was first exposed. It was first reported by Sinar Harian and subsequently followed by other national newspapers such as Malaysia Mail and New Straits Times. This investigative report revealed previously undisclosed irregularities involving the illegal importation of non-halal frozen meat that had been falsely labeled and distributed as halal product within the domestic market. The finding further suggests that the unlawful operation may have been ongoing for several decades, thereby raising serious concern regarding weakness in regulatory monitoring, certification integrity, and supply chain governance. As the issue gains widespread public attention, especially among the Muslim community, due to the religious significance of halal complaints, it generates hate, scrutiny, and concern among national authorities. This issue caused serious concern among the public, especially the Muslim community, because halal complaints is very important in Muslim. And due to strong public attention, the government began formal investigation to verify the allegation and assess the scale of the suspect illegal activities. Several government agencies subsequently coordinate enforcement action, including raids and evidence collection as part of a broader investigation into the organised meat cartel. The agency involved include the Royal Malaysian Police (ERM), the Malaysia Quarantine and Inspection Service (MAKIS), and the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, all of which play significant roles in criminal enforcement, import inspection, and trade regulation. That's all.
Today, I will be presenting on the parties involved in the fake halal meat scandal in Malaysia. First, illegal meat cartel involved companies. A frozen meat processing factory was the center of the operation. It handled non-halal meat but falsely presented it as halal certified. Supplier producer counterfeit halal logo and stamps, while falsified import the certification document allow illegal meat to enter the country. Individual charged include company director and operation director, a clerk, and a wholesaler company director, all part the cartel business network. Foreign supplier and exporter also believed to be involved, though their identities were never officially disclosed. Wholesaler buyer. Wholesaler purchased frozen meat product from this company, believing them to be halal certified and legally imported. Misled by false labels, they distributed the product further into the local market. Third, corrupt individual facilitating the operation. Unidentified government officer and internal personnel abused their position. They approved falsified documents, allowed illegal import, and accepted bribes, including cash and sexual service, in exchange for ignoring the cartel activity. For government agency, several agencies played key roles in uncovering and prosecuting the scandal. First, the Royal Malaysia Police (PDRM) conducted raids and arrests. Marquis oversaw inspection of imported meat. The Ministry of Domestic Trade, Consumer Affairs enforced trade description laws. JAKIM verified halal certification standard. The Malay Anti-Corruption Commission (SPRM) investigated bribery and corruption. Finally, the Johor Bahru Court heard change against those accused. 5. Media. Local media organizations exposed the scandal through investigating reporting. Their coverage informed the public, pressure authorities, and ensured transparency by monitoring development and official response. 6. Consumer public. The last one, Muslim consumer were directly affected, as halal level frozen meat is mainly purchased by the Muslim community. Once the scandal was exposed, public awareness grew, and consumer became the most impacted group, given the religious importance of halal compliance in Malaysia.
Right now, I'm going to explain about the methods used by the cartel. First, falsification of documents, where the cartel tend to create fake halal certificates and import permits to make non-halal meat appear halal. Meat was imported from various foreign countries, showing weaknesses in document checking system. These fake documents allowed the meat to pass early inspection without any suspicion. The second method is bribery of officials. Some enforcement and regulatory officers were paid bribes to ignore inspection procedures. Bribes were given in the form of money and other illegal benefits. This corruption may damage the integrity of enforcement agencies and reduce public trust in the system. Third, manipulation of import and inspection processes. Frozen meat entered the country through official ports but avoided proper inspection due to insider involvement. This showed weaknesses in border control and monitoring system. Poor coordination between agencies allowed the illegal operation to continue for many years. Fourth, repackaging and counterfeit labeling. At warehouses in Johor, illegal meat was mixed with legitimate meat supplies and repacked. Fake halal logos and branding were placed on the packaging to make the meat look genuine. This made it hard for sellers and consumers to differentiate real halal products from fake ones. Fifth, distribution through local supply chains. The repackaged meat was sold to markets, restaurants, and supermarkets as halal meat. This showed serious enforcement failures within the halal supply chain. The wide distribution increased the number of consumers affected by the fraud. Next, I'm going to explain about the impacts on social, economic, and government. Social impacts. Muslim consumers became worried after learning that non-halal meat had been sold as halal. Public trust in halal certification declined because people were unsure whether the labels could be relied on. The credibility of JAKIM was questioned due to its role in overseeing halal certification. Many consumers felt anxious and uncertain when trying to choose truly halal food products. Economic impacts. Food businesses were disrupted as stricter inspection slowed down the supply of meat products. Frozen meat worth about Rm 30 million was seized, causing major financial losses. Confidence in the halal supply chains weakened as consumers and businesses lost trust in the system. Foreign investors became less confident in Malaysia's halal industry due to the scandal. Government impacts. The scandal exposed corruption and weaknesses in governance within enforcement agencies. It triggered political debate and calls for reform in the halal certification system. Problems in coordination and enforcement among government agencies were revealed. Malaysia's reputation as a global halal hub was damaged, At the international level, public trust in JAKIM and other related authorities declined significantly.
Hi, my name is Alia. I will talk about ethical and legal issue. First, ethical issue. The fake halal meat scandal in Malaysia raised serious ethical issue beyond food safety. It was a betrayal of religious trust as Muslim consumers unknowingly consume non-halal meat. The use of falsified halal label violate consumer rights and show a lack of integrity among business and officials involved. Bravery and corruption further reflect weak accountability which institution means to protect the public. The scandal also damaged Malaysia's reputation as a global halal hub, showing how greed and corruption can exploit religious value, erodde public trust, and harm the credibility of halal industry. Second, legal issue. The scandal violated several Malaysian laws, including the Trade Discretion Act 2011 and the Trade Discretion Certification and Halal Marketing Order 2011, which regulate halal certification and labeling. The smuggling and repackaging of non-halal meat as halal amount to food found and consumer deception. Bravery of government officials also breached Malaysia anti-corruption law. Mixing different meat without disclosure violate food safety regulation and endanger consumer.
Hi, my name is Siti Sabia binti Faris. Now, I will explain the action taken by the authorities. The Malaysian government investigated the fake halal meat cartel case. Several suspects were arrested for smuggling and using fake halal certification. One of the individuals involved was Muhammad Hafizan Khalid, a former Makis officer. He was jailed for 3 years and fined 15,000 ringgit for accepting bribes. In addition, Elwa Frozen Food Sdn Bhd was fined for 1.5 million ringgit for using fake halal logos. 4 other individuals, including the company director, operation director, and one clerk, were also remanded for further investigation. In conclusion, the government took strict legal action to ensure justice and protect customers. Thank you.
In this part of my presentation, I will share the lesson learned from the fake halal meat scandal, followed by recommendation to strengthen the halal system in Malaysia. First lesson, systemic corruption vulnerability. The cartel prolonged operation, reportedly lasting for decades, show how systemic corruption can weaken governance, weak oversight, fragmented responsibility, and non-transparent procedure created opportunity for bribery and abuse of power to continue undetected. Second, supply chain opacity. Fraud halal certificates, repackaging, falsified document allow non-halal meat to enter the supply chain without being noticed. This highlights the risks of relying too much on paper-based verification system, absence of integrated traceability mechanism. Third, erosion of public trust. The failure to detect stop these illegal activities for such a long time lead to declining public confidence, especially among Muslim consumers. This emphasizes the importance of transparency, accountability, and timely enforcement in maintaining trust in halal governance. For recommendation, firstly, a unified halal act. A comprehensive halal law should be introduced to consolidate fragmented regulation under a single framework. This will improve coordination among enforcement agencies, strengthen penalties, and ensure more consistent governance of halal certification and monitoring. Second, adopt technology-based traceability system. Digital solutions such as blockchain tracking, centralized database, and QR code verification should be implemented. This tool can be enabled real-time monitoring of the halal supply chain, improve transparency, detect irregularities early, and reduce opportunities for fraudulence. Third, strengthen institutional oversight. Institutional reform should be considered, including clearer separation of regulatory and certification role, stricter operating procedures, and possibly the creation of an independent national halal oversight body, stronger anti-corruption mechanism, and regular external reviews will further reinforce accountability. That's all.
For the conclusion, even though Malaysia is developing illegal activities like halal meat falsification can still happen. This shows some weaknesses in our food monitoring and penalty for offenders. These cases don't just affect companies. They also hurt Malaysian reputation and reduce public trust, especially in the Muslim community. It also shows the role of corruption and how important media and enforcement agencies are in uncovering those activities. To prevent this in the future, the government needs stronger enforcement, better monitoring, and more public awareness to keep our halal food system trustworthy.
Finally, this is our sources of reference that we use while conducting our case study research, and that's all from us. Thank you.